So today I'm going to talk to you about a topic that I think all of us have felt at some point, but it's not something that we talk about or address or specifically own up to feeling bad about. So one of my favorite cousins was here visiting from London, a one with an incredible brain, accomplishments, and status in the 3D world where she should be considered successful by most metrics. And she pointed something out to me which I've always been aware of because I've been thin, fat, medium, and obese. And being an actress, you're never away from the realization that you're not A, B, C, D, E, F, G size. She talked about how when she comes to India, no matter who she speaks to, at some point or the other, will make a comment about her size, her weight. It's a very intrusive, judgmental comment, and it never feels supportive or congratulatory. It always feels like an assessment. And we've all been through this. We've been at relatives' houses, we've been at parties, we've been at school reunions where your friends say nice things about your body, your hair, whatever, how you're aging. I've been fascinated for years as to what is the mindset behind someone who thinks it's okay to just meet you and say, "Hi, you look fat. What's happened to your face, yaar? Ha ha ha. What's happened to your tummy, yaar? Ha ha ha." Like that kind of comment. Like, what is the point of that? And what's going on in your mind that you think it's okay to say to someone that you're not okay, that I don't like whatever you've got going on there? I'm fascinated by women who don't compliment other women, and they'll say things like, "Oh, lovely sari." They won't say, "You look nice," but they'll say, "Nice outfit," or "nice bangles," or something random like that. And I'm always curious, is that a lack of capacity? Is that a lack of depth? And is that a lack of some kind of empathetic chip in your brain that makes you think that a hurtful comment like that, or a disrespectful comment, or a judgmental comment like that is social graces? As part of my work, I'm always looking at what's the psychology, what's the energy behind that. Because a lot of family members think that by commenting on your weight or sending you Facebook videos on advice you never asked for, you know what I mean? They think that this is part of well being, like they mean you well. And I'm like, if you really meant me well, you would be checking on me regularly to see where my health is at and inquiring why my health isn't good. Why have I gained weight? Why have I lost weight? Why am I sick with this? So it's clearly not about being well meaning and wishing you well, because if someone really wished you well, they'd be invested in that. They'd check up on you, they'd provide emotional, financial, physical support of some kind if they were that concerned about your health. And when my cousin brought this up with me, she was saying that I've never been to another country where people just say it like this so arbitrarily. And we all are measuring our health. We're trying to do our 10,000 steps and 45 minutes of cardio and 7 days a week yoga. We all have our metrics by which we try to stay in the lane of trying to take care of ourselves. So this is clearly not about that. And what I have noticed is on an average day, because I end up being in a lot of public spaces, either giving or a talk or working with clients, I have this very unique experience at this age of meeting people who will compliment me, not just on my work, but also on the outfits I wear or the jewelry I'm wearing. I'm an artist. I like dressing up in different looks every day. And I have noticed that for the number of people who make these kind of comments, I have met more people who are always complimentary. And they come from different backgrounds, different ages, different financial metrics. So their exposure to the world or lack of is not influenced by this. This seems to be an internal dialogue. And the other day I had finished a workshop and I was walking out, and one of the hotel employees said to me, "Oh, you look really nice and you're always so well dressed. And I always find you really cute." And I thought to myself, this has nothing to do with me. This is to do with how you see yourself, because you don't need to measure your beauty, your appearance, your success in the world by putting me down or putting me up. And I said that to her, that this is a metric of how you see yourself, your own self esteem, your own self respect. And she asked me to explain it. And I said, in every society, in every group that we belong to, every family that we belong to, there are certain things that are considered important. Unfortunately, in the 2026 in India, and especially in modern cities, appearance is very important. How you look is very important. We know the usual thing of big car, big house, that stuff. But I think now how we are put together, because we have access to so much more. We have more brands. We are more connected to the world, so we know what's the latest in fashion. And size and body image is a huge part of our well being, but we don't realize it because we're trying so hard to conform. And I've noticed that the people who generally make these kind of rude comments, it's because they've spent their entire lives, or a very large part of their lives, desperately trying to fit into families, groups, social strata of society, where that's the currency. That shows that you're successful. So if you're fat or dark skinned or you look old and you don't dye your hair, like I have a lot of friends who don't dye their hair and they like their hair, and they've said to me that they've had responses from people saying, "Oh, you look old," as if it's something to be dismissed. Reality check, we're all growing old. Boobs are going to sag. You're going to lose muscle tone. All of this applies to men too. Not so much the boob sag, but you know what I'm talking about. When I was saying to this woman that what people do, they don't realize is they work so hard on developing this part of themselves. So then they're so focused on that. I cannot tell you how many conversations I've had. I'll be sitting at a conference table with some who written this incredible book, had this massive movement, people influenced by her work, and then she'll tell me, listen, I can't eat carbs because I'm doing this. And I understand the importance of that. I'm not making fun of people who do diets and all. I've dieted all my life. I know what I'm talking about. But I'm saying there's so much more to talk about. There's so much more to people than just their skin color or what treatment they're getting done or whether they did 10,000 square steps or whatever. And what I've noticed is that this has become almost like a weapon with people where, and I don't think often people realize they're doing it and it just falls out of their mouths. Like I have this experience where people will be like, oh, how nice you look. Oh, I really like that look on you. Or they'll be like, nice sari, as if the rest of me is a nice. And I've learned over time that it has nothing, as much as I make fun of it, I can tell it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with what this person has spent their lives focusing on. But my point to you having this conversation is from an emotional, nutritional point of view to make you an offering and ask you to inquire in your own self. Are you guilty of making comments like this to other people? And what were you thinking when you were saying something like that? Or what were you intending? And most importantly, to start to now sit back when you are part of these conversations and you're a fly on the wall and someone else is talking like this, to see what that brings up in yourself. Because we all know this that money, fame, looks, size, weight, popularity, number of followers, doesn't make us happy. It's a temporary state. Happiness is not based on these things. Fulfillment is not based on these things. Love, loyalty, integrity, character, devotion has nothing to do with any of this. And I'd like you to think about being cherished and being devoted. If you can find that in yourself, where you can be devoted and cherish every aspect of your being, irrespective of what society's metrics are, especially if you have issues with your body or you're aging or you need glasses, whatever the thing is that makes you feel like you're a little bit not in the herd and you don't belong, it makes you an outsider. I would say embrace it, accept it, cherish it, be devoted to that, to loving that aspect of yourself, because the world is not going to do it for you. And the more you do it for yourself, the rest of your life will be better as you get older because you can't fight aging. You can't fight the inevitability of your body deteriorating. What you can hold on to is this reservoir that you build within yourself, this deep relationship with yourself, where you're curious about what makes you happy, what makes you tick, what makes you sad, healing those parts of ourselves, having them in the room, knowing that that's a trigger for you, and building a devotion to that part of yourself so that if no one else is holding space for you and being accepting and loving and cherishing towards you, you can do that for yourself. And you can hold that very warm, sweet space for yourself and keep building that relationship of, oh, what makes me feel cherished? I made that painting today, or I made the perfect cup of tea, or I was really nice to that person who really is not nice to me. And I wasn't nice to her because I was trying to be a saint, but because that makes my life easier. I don't want to be sprouting shit out of my mouth and saying horrible things to other people. Whatever that shows up for you, try building that relationship with yourself outside of the metrics that society, your family of origin, the family you married into, the family you left, judged you and rejected you for. Find a way to embrace, accept, and be kind and loving to all those parts of yourselves. And I think in a place like India, this is a luxury to be able to have this conversation and think about how do I feel about myself as I'm getting older and I'm not the right A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So that's my offering to you. And as always, I'm very curious about what you find.